Hi, I'm Rebekah Reysen, and welcome to the ChitChat. Today we've got some amazing guests. I'm here, of course, with my co-host, Jeremy Roberts, and we are excited to talk to you today about the You Matter office and the great folks that work over there. So let me tell you a little bit more about Kate Forster and Mandi Bloodworth. Kate Forster has an undergraduate degree from Middlebury College and received her Master of Social Work degree from Boston University. She's worked in higher education throughout her career as a social worker, beginning in the counseling centers at Boston University, University of California at Berkeley, and at Sarah Lawrence College. Kate transitioned into student affairs work at Colorado Mountain College before taking time to be home with her two young children. Kate joined the university as a case manager in June of 2016 after relocating with her family from Los Angeles. So welcome, Kate. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Mandi, good to see you as well. Mandi Bloodworth serves as a case manager, working primarily with our residential students. Mandi also provides direct support and wellness programming for community assistance. She received her undergraduate degree here at the University of Mississippi and went on to earn her master's in social work from Louisiana State University. Mandi worked in a clinical setting providing therapy to K through 12 students prior to joining the university in 2019. Good to see you as well, Mandi. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Well, we're excited to talk to you. You guys do such important and great work at the You Matter office. So let's just kind of start off and talking about the You Matter office and your roles there. What types of services do you provide for students at the University of Mississippi?
Sure, I can get us started on that. So kind of the formal official name of our office is You Matter Student Support and Advocacy. We are in the Division of Student Affairs, and kind of, within the Division of Student Affairs, more or less fall underneath the Dean of Students area of practice. So in that area, we are looking at providing support to students that may be experiencing any unexpected concern or challenge during their time here at the university. A lot of times, a really helpful way that I found to describe what we do is we like to think of ourselves as essentially kind of the human connection, right, between a student and the university. For a lot of students, they're coming, especially for our first year students, they're coming into an entirely new system, right? It's very different from high school. It's a very different time of life, developmentally. There's just a lot that happens as they transition into a higher ed setting. And it can be a lot to navigate, and especially when the unexpected concerns or challenges do come up for a student. It's a lot, for a student to know how to communicate with a professor, how to access the resources, or how to even know what resources are available on campus or where to even start. And so I like to think of our office as kind of a central hub where students can come in and hopefully in one meeting or one connection with our office get a pretty good sense of all of the support services that exist, maybe some next steps that they could take, to get some good things in place for, whatever their concern or challenge may be. But, really, the services that we offer is that really individualized work with students as we connect with them when they have these different concerns or challenges that come up for them. So we're doing kind of individual, what we call case management. So as a student comes in, we call that a case, but we're just working with the student and looking at the concerns they're facing, what resources or referrals may be necessary, next steps they could take, what they may need to communicate to professors, options that they may have in terms of next steps here on campus. And sometimes just finding, their readiness to take those steps, right? And kind of talking a little bit with them. And we don't serve as counselors, so we try to help students understand that because it's adjacent to counseling in some ways, right? And a lot of times we're kind of the first stop that a student may make before they make a connection at a counseling center or at an off-campus agency. So that's really our individualized service. Beyond that, we are doing trainings. We're out working with staff and faculty, helping them know also how to recognize when their students may be facing, concerns or challenges, or when they may be in distress, and a good time, to know when to get a student connected with our office. So we're doing outreach like that quite often. We oversee the student complaint process, or, that's a fun part of my job. But, if a student ever does have kind of a complaint or concern, they can connect with me or find an online complaint form. We also provide support services for students that may be responding to a Title IX related concern. So, in a Title IX process, there's sort of, two sides of what a student may be going through. There's a student coming forward with a formal complaint and a student that may be responding to that formal complaint. There are services available for both students. We provide the support services for the students that are responding to those complaints. So, that's not something that comes up very often for students, but if it does, and, we're very happy and provide ongoing support there. And I'll let Mandi jump in about some of the specialized work that she does.
Yeah, so I work specifically with our students who live in the residence halls. I do that case management work for them, and then also do some direct support work and wellness programming for our community assistants. Just knowing that their jobs can be really challenging and stressful at times. And then because I work so closely with housing, I will sometimes partner with housing staff to do different events in the residence halls. So that's a great way to get out and meet students and let them know more about the Matter office and the services that we provide. But yeah, I think, it's a great connection there with housing, and working with our first year students has been really, really rewarding. So I really enjoy that piece of it.
Well, y'all both talked about staff and how they connect to the office, or what y'all do in working with them, but also for faculty members who have concerns about students. How would one, either a faculty or a staff member, connect with your office to let you know that there may be a concern about a student?
Yeah, I can take this one. So we have a form just on our website, so umatter.olemiss.edu. And it's a care referral. Previously, some people still know it as a student of concern report, but we have kind of rebranded that as a care referral, a little gentler language there. But basically, you just go to the website, you will see the bar at the top, and anyone can fill out that form. So faculty, staff, parents, other students, you can just fill that out, and it kind of asks about your concern, and that comes directly to Kate, and she will assign that out as a case. So that's definitely one way, especially if it's a lower level concern, or if the reporting party doesn't have any questions about how to address the situation, they can just fill out that form. For true emergencies, it's probably best to call UPD, or if it's during business hours and a faculty or staff member wants to consult with us, if they're sitting with a student who might be in crisis, or they had an uncomfortable interaction with the student and they just want some guidance around next steps and what they should do, we're always happy to consult. They can call our office and talk with one of the case managers, and we can provide some guidance there, and we can also then follow up with the student as appropriate as well.
And then how can students seek guidance from your office if they have a friend in need? Would it be through the same report system, or do they just stop by, call?
Yeah, I think we see a little bit of everything. I'd say primarily the care referral is the main way that students connect other students to our office. But we've really looked at, in the past year or so, kind of increasing our outreach to students so they know how to get their peers connected. And sometimes we even have students that refer themselves, which is great. Sometimes we have students walk in, and that's not a problem either, right? We're always happy to connect with students. But I think we know, there's been research over the past few years that shows that this generation of college students, we know, are much more likely to disclose to their peers that something's going on or that they're struggling before they're going to reach out to a staff or faculty member, right? So, and their peers also may just notice unusual behavior, more so than a staff or faculty member may. And so we really want students to know, like, hey, it's not your job or responsibility to just hold all that for your friend or for your roommate. There are great services and there are great resources on campus, and you can get your friend connected. Part of the training that we do for students is also encouraging them, as they make a care referral, to also let their friend know that they've done that, or let them know about our office, so that when we do that friendly outreach, and everything is, kind of friendly and supportive outreach from our office, right? So, there's no requirement at kind of early stages that a student has to come in and talk to us. So we want people to know that, but we want the conversation, to be acceptable to a student. And sometimes for a friend to have a conversation with another friend, saying like, hey, I remember I went to this training, or I remember at orientation, there was, this office, and I think they help with this very thing, right? I shared your name with them, so they may reach out, right? So just encouraging students to help almost with that transition is a huge benefit too for the students being referred, because then it's not a cold call, right? Or they know why there's outreach that's coming and that we're very supportive and we're just there to kind of help them navigate or get connected. And it could be anything from like, you know, a roommate knows that, you know, their roommate lost a grandmother or a grandparent recently, right? And they're going to be absent from class, and that student just leaves because they're like, I have to go home for the funeral services. I don't know what to do. They can make a care referral, right? And we can connect and talk with that student and say, you know, have you been in touch with your professors? You know, here's some next steps that you can take just to help them navigate some of those things that feel really scary during a very uncertain time.
And, you know, and you mentioned like some life stuff that happens to students, like just, you know, big life things can happen at any stage of development, but college is definitely no exception. All kinds of things can go wrong in life. And I know you probably can't go into too many details about specific student cases, but what would be like, you know, kind of some of the more common situations that you see or types of situations that you see?
Yeah, so I think, you know, on that note, anything can happen while a student is in college. So as Kate mentioned, anytime there might be absences due to grief or loss, or sometimes if a student is just sick or in the hospital for physical or mental health concerns, we are able to help students navigate those. Just that outreach to their instructors, like Kate talked about, they're not always sure that they're supposed to do that, or they might know they need to, but they're not sure what to say. And so sometimes it's just having that conversation. I know I see that a lot in working with first year students. It's just a whole new system they're trying to navigate. And so I think just having a simple conversation with them about what you can say to your instructor and what they can expect can be really helpful. So that's definitely an area where we work, especially with our first year students. And then we see some mental health concerns in our office too. I think a fair number of our care referrals are for a faculty, staff, or friend, parent who may be worried about their student and some different changes in behavior or changes in personality, and they're not quite sure what to do. So we're able to, you know, as Kate said, we always offer a supportive outreach. And a lot of times students do respond to that, and they want to come in and have that conversation about what resources are out there on campus that can be helpful for them. And, you know, there may be times when they're not ready to access those resources, but I always feel like we're giving them that information and they have it when they're ready. And then there are other times when they may need a little help. So sometimes we're able to help students call and make that appointment while they're sitting with us. So mental health concerns, and then I think financial concerns or basic needs come up as well. We advise the Grow Grocery here on campus, the food pantry, as well as the Lyceum Locker, the new school supply closet. So sometimes students are unaware of those resources that can just be incredibly helpful. And so it's just letting them know about those types of things. And I find that a lot of times that just alleviates some stress for the student. So it's really getting them connected there. And then too, with our first year students, we may help them just with that transition to college and that adjustment period. I know in the fall semester with our first year on campus students, especially if they don't go through recruitment, they may struggle a little bit to find their place on campus. And so it's helping them get connected with the student org, or, you know, telling them about the forum or something. I know their leadership and engagement ambassador started last year was I think the involvement consultations. So those are really helpful, and just making students aware. We have so much on our campus that can be helpful for students. Even the work that you guys do with academic support, I'm always telling students about those programs and they're not aware of them. And so I think in a nutshell, like that is what we do for whatever type of concern comes in our office, is make sure the student knows about the resources and knows how to connect, and just helping them navigate the different processes on our campus, or navigate the challenges that come up in their time here with us.
Well, we appreciate you too mentioning our resources, because we just, you know, really care about students much like you all do. We want them to thrive and be happy and meet their goals and things like that. And we see a lot of students that are kind of looking to, you know, maybe increase their GPA or meet specific academic goals, whichever ones they set for themselves. Do you have any advice for students in terms of how to be successful in college?
Wow. Well, I guess I would say, you know, setting yourself up with good habits early on, right, is important. And that could be anything from kind of your time management habits to your self-care, right? How you take care of yourself, because it may not feel like it in August when you start, things, feel fun and it's moving really quickly, but, the pressure can really kind of mount through the course of the semester, or there may be periods of time where having a really good self-care plan will really benefit you because of just increased pressure, or it's midterm time or it's final time, but you've got that self-care plan in place. And you can already recognize in yourself, like when you feel really stressed, your body kind of, your sleep gets disrupted, or you might catch a cold, right? So recognizing and knowing those things about yourself and having a good self-care plan can be really helpful. I think being willing to ask for help and kind of reach out, and I know it's easy to say because it's hard sometimes for a first year student coming in to even know, who do I ask for help, or where do I even start? And I think this campus, especially this university, anybody that you ask for help is going to try to figure out and point you in the right direction. If they don't know the answer, they're going to try to figure it out for you. And that's what makes, I think, this university so special. I don't know if that's just the hospitality state, in all of us, or if it's just something really unique to this campus. But it's like when you see visitors walking around, they can ask absolutely anybody where to find a building, and anyone is going to go out of their way, probably even walk them to the building, right, to make sure that they get there. And I think it's the same for any of our students. If they just stop and ask the question, we've got a really, really supportive community around us. So I think, good time management, self-care, and being able to kind of ask, just like, hey, where's that building? Or where do I eat? Or how do I use the buses? Right. I mean, because there's a lot to learn. And if you don't ask, sometimes you don't know.
Right. Well, we've got 2 lightning round questions for you just to get to know you a little bit better. The first one is, what was your freshman year of college like?
I'll go first. I thought my freshman year was really fun, and those are probably some of my best memories of college. And not to say it wasn't without its challenges. I did deal with some of that transition. Like, I was the only person from my hometown who came here, so there was a little bit of that homesickness and transition. And times when I thought I wasn't going to come back for a second year, but I did. And, I lived in Martin Hall, and say what you will about traditional residence halls, but there's nothing like it, having that experience. And as much as, having a bathroom in my room would have been nice, I would do it all over again, just because of the community that you find in that building. And so that's where, all my closest friends lived, and we were just back and forth to each other's rooms. And it was a good year. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a long time ago for me. So I have to kind of go way back. But no, I grew up in the South. So I grew up just north of here in Tennessee. And I actually left the South to go away. I went up to Vermont to a very small school, so much, much smaller than this setting. But I loved it. And that was just the right fit for me. But my freshman year was a lot of like exploring, kind of navigating a totally new region and part of the country, with really different kind of that New England stoicism, just different approaches to everything. And I think that's where my Southern accent went. I lost it as soon as I got to Vermont. But, yes, I mean, the women that I lived with in my first year residence hall are still my closest friends. It was just so exciting. And I think, I was thinking about, how that kind of translates for someone, attending the university here. And, I think about students that may be coming from another part of the country. California, we have a lot of students from California, a lot of students from the East Coast, wherever they may come from, and coming to Mississippi, maybe for the first time, how exciting it is to be in a totally new area, and get to know a new place. And especially the South, which is so rich, in history and culture, and it's complex and complicated at times. But, I think that's what reminded me of my freshman year, is just, getting to a totally new part of the country, meeting people, that fun, that excitement, and yeah, navigating like college level coursework. And, that brings up a lot, like Mandi said. I mean, there's times where it's like, can I do this? Or, oh my gosh, or how do I do this? Or, how do I talk to these professors? They seem so scary. They're not that scary, right? I mean, you can talk to them, right? And I try to tell our students that all the time. But yeah, I mean, that was my freshman year. I was kind of a nerd, I really got up there and wanted to study. So that was kind of a big driver for me. It wasn't a big athletic school, it was like it was Vermont, we had apple picking and sounds so wholesome, doesn't it?
Sound wholesome. I like that. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there were other things to do too, of course.
Nothing wrong with a good apple, I mean, they're healthy and tasty and you can make pies out of them. So yeah.
Oh man, somebody's going to see this video and give me endless trouble about that.
So the last question we have either of you had a mentor or a professor who you found to be inspirational for you throughout either your collegiate career or now into your professional career?
I was thinking about this a little bit. I had, so when I got my master's in social work, I had an internship one year at, it's called Sexual Trauma Awareness and Response. It's kind of like a rape crisis center, but a little more robust. And the executive director there, she was a social worker and she is not too much older than me. And she had really built that. So it had been previously like just a kind of a small center, and she came in as executive director and really grew it really quickly and did a good job with it. And so I remember talking with her and she was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I just Google it and like figure it out. And so I just remember feeling so inspired, like, okay, you don't have to have all the answers. Like you don't have to know how to do something to like take on a new project, and you can figure it out and, seek support and supervision and guidance, and you can make things happen. And so that's kind of has stuck with me. And I feel like I'm more likely to take things on after getting to know her and learning under her a little bit.
Yeah, I think I would add, there are kind of sort of phases of, of that. I'd say in my undergrad experience, I did an undergrad thesis project, which, believe it or not, was on William Faulkner. I went all the way to Vermont to study William Faulkner. So crazy. But anyway, I should have just stayed around here. But no, but my thesis advisor was someone that I worked so closely with. And I think about that even now, for students here, that go through that senior year thesis project, or, they're part of the honors college or whatever that may be, how important it is to connect to someone in an area of interest, or a field of interest, and dig into the work and get to know their research and their work and talk to them and ask them questions, because that was really impactful, and especially with such a large project like a thesis. So in my undergrad, like I look back at that thesis advisor professor relationship is really fundamental. And then, as I went into my graduate work, which is kind of, it's sort of two phases, right? There's that undergrad piece, and the graduate work, I had a better sense of what I was going to head out and do. And it really it was in more of my post-grad work. I did a couple of post-grad years in higher ed settings. And, I'd say the supervisors, like Mandi mentioned, when you're young in your career, in an area of specialty, and you have supervisors that are really great. I mean, it just makes all the difference. And so, some of those supervisors that I had that connected me to higher ed work really shaped my career path. So that's, I think of those folks as well, as great mentors and folks that I'm still in touch with.
Well, we want to thank both of you again so much for being on the second season of the Chit Chat. We learned a lot about the You Matter office, and we'll be sure to link your website in the description below whenever we post everything and share everything on social media. But it's another great episode, another one for the books. For Rebekah, Reysen, I'm Jeremy Roberts. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a good one.